5 reasons to avoid vintage campers. That's what we're talking about today, and we're bringing a lot of experience to the table because we've had 2 vintage campers that we've done a lot of work on, and we're here to talk about the reasons why you should probably just avoid them. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me here today. So, vintage campers are near and dear to my heart. We had a 1985 Fiberstream camper and a 1979 Airstream Argosy. Both had so many awesome vibes to them. Vintage campers are the coolest thing on the road. But the downside is they have a lot of issues, and I'm not sure that it's worth the hassle at the end of the day. Now we're in a 2021 fifth wheel because the projects and the headaches just became too much with those vintage campers. So today I'm sharing 5 reasons why we think you should probably avoid them. Let's get to the list. Number 1 is that they almost always need a total overhaul. The problem with a vintage camper is when you start one project, you find another. The deeper you dig, the more problems you find until you strip that thing down to a very, very far point and work your way back up. There are definitely those times where you can do easy fixes to a vintage camper and not get to a root of a problem. But every single experience that we've had with fixing one thing on it has always led to finding another project that needs to be worked on. So the deeper you dig, almost 100% of the time leads to more problems and more issues to resolve down the road. Reason number 2 is that they can be expensive to repair. The problem with RVs in general, and especially old RVs, is that the parts are not very common. There are websites dedicated to Airstreams in manufacturing the old parts at an extremely high cost because there are people out there that need them, but no actual parts manufacturer makes those anymore. They're all specialty manufacturers that are making these small parts in small quantities, therefore having to charge a lot of money for them. And Airstream is one of the better examples because there are people that actually need these parts. But if you get something like the Fiberstream that we had, it can be really hard to find a part, and you might have to either just make do with a different part or make a part yourself. All of those things can be very expensive and time consuming. Reason number 3 is really a pain in the butt once you get out there on the road. There are a lot of RV parks in the Southwest and in Florida that have a 10-year rule, and that means that if your RV is older than 10 years, you might not be able to stay there. They'll often give exceptions to vintage campers if they look very nicely redone. You can send a picture in, get it approved, go through this whole process. But honestly, we've done that multiple times. It feels a little insulting to have someone judge our rig just to see if we can stay at an RV park. I don't like that feeling. And I don't like staying at these hoity-toity RV parks anyways, but with more RVs on the road than ever before, it can be hard to find an RV spot in general. If your RV is older than 10 years, you're just gonna be coming up against one more hurdle to getting that RV park reservation. It can be a headache. The solution is always boondocking. We love boondocking, that's camping off grid. And by the way, if you love camping off grid, we have a map of the 21 best free campsites in our humble opinion. And we want to share that map with you. You can print it up, take it out on your trip, frame it. We always have a copy of this with us. And if you want to download it, I'll put a link in the description and the comment section. Free to download and print and use all the locations right there on the map. Number 4 on our list overlaps with number 2. 2 was parts can be expensive, but 4 is that parts can be hard to find. Like I gave in that example, Airstream might be the easiest of the vintage campers, but when you're looking at some vintage motorhomes, vintage Class A's especially, it's gonna be almost impossible to find those parts unless you go to an RV junkyard. You can hunt down one of these old rigs and it might have a working part on it that you need, but an RV junkyard might be your best bet in a lot of these cases. As cool as those rare campers may be, finding a part can be next to impossible. And number 5, probably the reason that you want one out of the gate, but probably also one of the reasons that it becomes one of the biggest headaches is that they attract a lot of attention. We love having beautiful rigs. We took so much pride into renovating our 1979 Airstream Argosy and our 85 Fiberstream camper. But lo and behold, when we're out there traveling, everyone wants to have a conversation about it. And most of the time, I would be inspired and excited to talk about it. But there are some days that has been a rough travel day. Maybe I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, and then someone wants to talk about it. And it's really hard to always stay excited and to draw that attention to the rig that people are going to be drawn to it because it's rare, it's unique. Someone's put a lot of effort into it. There are so many out there that we've seen on the road that we wanted to go up and talk to people about. But it can be one of the downsides of having a vintage camper is that a lot of people are going to give you that attention, and you have to be on all the time when you're taking it out in public because people are going to want to ask you questions about it. Those are the 5 reasons though that we have of why you might want to avoid a vintage camper. Obviously, we loved them. We've had 2. I don't think we'll ever have another vintage camper again. It was fun while it lasted. These days, what we like is usability, space, and ease of not having to worry about repair. That's funny to say because we all know all campers need repair, but not having to have complete total system overhauls. Thank you for watching. Make sure you download that map of the 21 best free campsites. Free to you, print it up, take it on your next trip. Enjoy the free campsites that we've enjoyed. Leave a comment below if you think I am off base about these vintage campers. Can't wait to hear what you got to say. See you next time. Later on.